Everyone, welcome to another edition of the Final Down NFL podcast with me, Jim, Finn, Punk Raider, and Denver Dave. We're here to talk about NFL, and boys, how are we doing?
Terrible.
I would
Can't
say
believe-
excited as
Eagles
it's Super Bowl
Chiefs.
week.
Can't
but
believe the
what a
AFC have lost
horrible
the
Super
Pro
Bowl.
Bowl again. It's,
Did they?
It's just unbelievable, Jeff.
Yeah.
Well, don't worry about the Pro Bowl, Punk, but the wine in here. Come on, boys, I haven't even started
But
this
it's
prediction.
more
pod
it's
for
more
the
exciting
Super
than the
Bowl.
game we've got to talk about today.
This is
Super
my
Bowl
point.
59.
It should be an exciting time, Super Bowl week, but I just can't get behind this game.
No, I
Revenga.
can't at all. I'm really struggling to get the enthusiasm up to stay up till 3 o'clock in the morning to just
I'm not.
watch this drivel.
I'm going to bed. I'm going to watch it next day.
I'm
The wife and
tempted.
I-
Probably a
tempted.
sensible play.
Yeah, the wife and I always do Valentine's Day because I'm a cheap git. We always do it a day after Super Bowl. So we always go out for a meal and do the Valentine's meal after that. We're going to do that and I'll watch the game in the afternoon.
So you book the day off, but not to recover like we're going to.
I don't drink, Jim, so recovering is not
I'm
an
talking
issue.
about recovering like drinking. I'm talking about the lack of sleep.
Oh, I'm all right with that. Don't worry about that, son. I was up at 3 a.m. this
That's a
morning.
standard night, isn't
It's
it?
nothing new with me. Come on.
Okay, look, we're going to be talking about our picks then for Super Bowl 59. Before we get there, very briefly, there was a bit of trade news, not just about Luka Doncic, but we do have.
Can I just say, but I know this has nothing to do with basketball. How
No.
stupid do you have to be? If no one knows what we're on about, we'll put it in soccer football terms, okay? It's kind of like Liverpool going, Mo Salah, yeah, we'll swap him. As Mark Noble getting on nowadays, can we swap him for him? It's
Is he still all right?
ridiculous, absolutely ludicrous, but never mind. Carry
Well,
on.
it is
We've got someone
Dallas.
else.
I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is true.
We've got someone else who wants to have a trade. Actually, wants a trade in this instance, and that
Mhm.
is Myles Garrett, the number one overall pick for the Cleveland Browns. Has had enough and wants to go to a winning team.
Can't blame
Don't
you
blame
for
him.
that.
Don't blame
No,
him.
he just wants his name in the papers for the next 4 months. That's all it is. Because
Rubbish.
You know,
Rubbish. He wants
let's
to
be
win.
honest. Yeah, of course he does. But at the end of the day, the Browns are not going to let him go for anything, that doesn't begin with a first and then only increases from there. So,
Well-
it's going to be a while before anything happens with Garrett, I think. And
Well, I'm
yeah,
assuming
might want
Jim's-
out, and I think he probably deserves to get out. But, if anyone does want a Steeler beating, helmet stealing mother of a defensive end, then yeah, start chucking firsts around. But he's going to have to wait.
Well, I'm assuming Jim's written some kind of intro for this. So, no.
No. What?
Jim's
Okay,
written
so
nothing.
Sound like you?
No, the only thing I was
You
going
normally
He's,
have your
he's
notes
D-Mob
ready.
happy. He already thinks that that's it. We're done for the year. We can put our feet up. Doesn't have to read 16 games out.
No.
Well, what I was going to say is Andrew Barry, who's the GM for the Browns, has basically come out and said he's not going to trade him, which means he will. And he said they're not going to trade him for even for 2 firsts, which means that's the starting point. And there's, I think the starting point is there because of Khalil Mack going from the Raiders to the Bears. And I think it's kind of a comparative because at the time, Khalil Mack was one of the best pass rushers in the league. And it's fair to say that that's the situation we're in now. One of the best pass rushers, if not the best
But
pass
Mac
rusher.
Mac didn't demand a trade.
No,
If I remember, he just
No.
was traded.
Mac was,
No, but it's still
Mac
the
was
same
Gruden.
price though.
Mm.
Mac was just completely Grudened.
Mm.
I think you're right. I don't know how many years Garrett's got left on his contract and stuff.
He's got a couple of years, but it's none of it's
in that
guaranteed.
regard.
No.
Yeah, so in that regard, it is very similar to Mac's situation. So,
But when
it
you
is-
ask for a trade, you've had enough, and sometimes it's better to get rid of them
Yeah.
than
Yeah,
to have them
no, I
hanging
agree
around,
with that.
poisoning the
Oh
well.
no,
And to
he's
do
going.
it-
He's
to
going
do it quicker
100%.
rather
He's
than
going,
later.
and he won't cost 2 first overall picks either to do it.
I don't know because there's
I don't think it
31
will.
other teams who are going to be all pushing the price up, and all it takes is one idiot to go, "Yeah, we'll give you 2 firsts," and then everyone else is knackered.
yeah.
And this league's full of idiots.
Hey, Dallas.
Who would you think is going to take him then? If someone's going to come with a
Everyone would
serious,
take him.
with a
Everyone
serious bid.
wants him.
Everyone would take him given the opportunity to get him. Who can realistically get him?
I can offer 2 options. First of all, the Bills, because I think the Bills can be super aggressive. I think they can probably release Von Miller, come back to Denver, release Von Miller, save between 9 and 10 million in cap space, and they've got enough cap space then to be able to sign him and give him a new deal this year, push a bit of it onto next year. Absolutely fine.
Hmm.
Second team that should and could go for him, Detroit. Now,
Yep.
we don't know what Aiden Hutchinson's going to be like when he comes back because it was a pretty bad injury, which apparently affects pass rushers significantly, but he's still a good talent. And if you can put Garrett the other side, it's just going to make his life significantly easier.
Hmm.
They've got loads of cap space, more than enough to be able to swallow
The
it
other
next
thing
season.
to watch with the
But they're
Lions
picking
is,
high.
yeah, but the other thing to watch with the Lions is Hutchinson's deal itself will be up next year.
Mhm.
So he's going to need to be extended as well. So I think I don't know about the Lions. I think they've got the space and the ability to do it, but whether they've got the draft capital, I don't know.
Well, I think the problem with the Lions is going to be, and they could probably kill two birds with one stone here, because they've drafted so well. And we've seen this a number of times. I think the Steelers had it about 10 years ago. Because they drafted so well, everyone who's good deal comes up in one go, and you sort of go, "Oh crap!" What we've effectively got now is 3 or 4 first-round picks who weren't at the time, but now want paying. We've
Lions
seen it
haven't got a
recently
lot outside of a load of seventh rounders.
in terms of
Second, third round
actual,
comp.
yeah. But I'm talking about the players that they've actually picked up in recent years. They're all going to want paying like first rounders, and Dallas have had exactly that issue. So what they could do is trade one of those players who are still on their rookie deal, like a Brian Branch, for example, who I'm a massive fan of, but in the nicest possible way, he's just a safety. So you could
That's
give
one of
away a
your
piece.
guys.
I know, but
You
I'm
haven't
just
got
saying
many, Dave.
purely,
You're trading one?
purely as a tradable position and one that you can backfill. I think that's an option. So you can give pieces who can genuinely. I mean, Brian Branch doesn't want to go to Cleveland. Let's be honest.
No
No
one's going to
choice.
want to go.
No.
That's going to be the sell.
Yeah.
So I think there's options for them to actually send players potentially,
Mm.
but I think they're for me the two teams what should be and could be most interested. If Garrett's right in the fact that one of his major motivations is wanting to go and win. I mean, you could always come to Denver, of course, obviously.
Well, you just shot your own
That'd be
argument
a hell
there.
of a challenge.
Look at the noise. Everyone started talking as soon as I
Yeah,
mentioned
we
Denver.
all do.
Yeah.
But I think the Raiders
Poking the
would be
bear.
in play if we didn't have to get the quarterback.
The Raiders.
Yeah,
Give
because
up.
no, can you imagine having Crosby, Wilkins, and Garrett? That would just be
That's all right. That's not going to happen because Crosby's not going to be there next year either.
Crosby will be there. It'll be fine. Now we got Chip Kelly, Pete Carroll.
How are they in
well on
pass
the way.
protection? Because the ball will be out within 2 seconds over their heads. Who do you reckon you would take if? Who do you think is the best in line to take him?
I'd take him in a heartbeat, mate.
No, but which team do you think out of all of the ones that are potentially relevant, not the Raiders, would actually have a chance to get in?
Potentially relevant.
Always
Yeah.
relevant. All 31 are relevant.
I'd like to see him go to the Ravens to spite you. That would be quite enjoyable.
In division.
That would be brutal.
Oh my God.
That would be absolute brutality.
Apparently, he loves Ohio, so it might even be the Bengals.
For his sanity, I'd stay well clear of the Bengals. I think they've got a long way
Can't
to
pay
go.
anyone.
A team. I like the sound of the Lions, but I sort of agree with Punk. I don't know if they would. He's the sort of player you would try and move a lot of pieces to sort of get your hands on, but I feel like they'd have to do an awful lot of reshuffling
Hmm.
to bring him in. I've heard the Pacific Northwest is quite a nice spot.
It rains a lot.
Bloody hell.
And he said he wants to win, not just
Playoff
Yeah.
team would be
play
nice.
I
around
mean-
middle of the division.
So winning season, we're on the right tracks.
No, I think
Days are young.
I think
That
Finn's
might
got
be.
a point. The Pacific Northwest is quite nice, but I'm not sure Santa Clara classes as the Pacific Northwest.
He's not going that far south.
I think for me, the build makes the most sense, if I'm honest.
I would have said DC. I would have gone to Washington.
Yeah,
I think
maybe-
that's one of those
maybe
teams. They've got the
Washington.
money. They're the up and coming team. They got it to the championship game. NFC is much easier to get through than the AFC.
They
gives
have
them a
to
proper
build that
chance.
defense. So yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's probably not a bad shout.
Yeah.
Problem
Got the
I've got
third
with
most cap space, I think, at the moment.
the problem I've got with Washington is that there's no legacy of winning there. And if you want to win a Super Bowl, you want to go to someone who's genuinely challenging. Now,
Depends how old
obviously,
you are, of course. If you think
Yeah.
Washington doesn't have a legacy of
And you want
no,
to
no,
winning,
jump
no.
on the
I
Jaden
mean,
Daniels train now?
in terms of yeah, but then only last year everyone was talking about the CJ Stroud train, and that sort of derailed a little bit. So
I saw the O-line out. That's not all CJ Stroud's fault.
no, it's not absolutely. And let's have a look at the O line in Maryland. It's not that good. So
Sort that
there's
out.
but that's the thing. You're asking what can they sort out?
Mm,
If you sign one of the premier tackles, which is gonna cost you multiple first, maybe a second, and a couple of players or whatever it's going to be. If an auction starts out, it's going to become even harder to then sort the O line out. So
mm.
ultimately, it's
I
going to
don't
be
think it's
who
gonna
pays
hard.
the most. It's going to be who pays the most. He doesn't have a no trade clause.
No.
Um, so yeah, it's to a certain degree not going to be down to him unless they set the price early and multiple teams come and meet it. You just got to hope for his sake. It's not the Bears or the Colts. Don't go there. You don't need to be doing that.
I didn't have Cleveland Browns down on my bingo card for talking about on Super Bowl week. So that's something we're going to do there. Now we're going to move on and look at the picks for Super Bowl 59. Actually, before we do that, we better look at the wrong uns for Championship weekend because we did make picks for
just
Championship
don't even
weekend
bother.
and none of us came out clean apart from Finn.
What?
I mean, it was
Been
two
picked to
games.
Borden Bowl.
Yeah,
I love.
he picked
I
the
went
Eagles
with
versus the Chiefs, so
I
you
went
want to
with
blame
what I
anyone?
actually didn't really want, but it was
Yeah.
it was for me it was a safe bet. I regret doing it. I regret my actions. I'd like to apologise to everyone if I've influenced the Super Bowl
You
anyway.
absolutely have. More than the refs could ever do.
I don't forgive
Um,
Well,
you.
let's not go down that rabbit hole again, Jim.
Me, Punk, and Dave picked the Commanders in the fairy tale to beat the
I only
Eagles. That
picked
didn't work.
them. If you,
Here
I
we
only
go.
picked them. No, no, no. I only picked them because I thought I'd be contrarian. And when I listened back to the podcast, and you two had also picked, I thought, oh bloody, I won a lot of money on the Eagles. Genuinely thought the Eagles were going to win it. I just thought I'd be a bit different.
Stop
So
using the pod to be contrarian. Be
why?
honest, because you're still
No,
contrarian whether you like it or not.
well,
You
that's
would have
just
been
true.
contrarian in that one.
If I wasn't there,
Yeah.
it would have been boring if I just gone Eagles, and then all of us would have said Eagles. So I was hoping I'd give you
Oh,
some
yeah. But
content,
well, we're waiting
and
for
you lot sitting there
your
going, "Oh,
command of what we're going to pick.
Dave's such an idiot." No, I just naturally assumed that you would because it was almost certain that they were going to win. So
Oh,
never mind.
oh, and then the Chiefs Bills. So Hannah picked the Bills as well as Punk and Dave. So anyone keeping score there, Punk and Dave out on their
Goose
picks
eggs.
for for the
Why do you
championship
always have to
weekend.
swear? Jesus Christ, Jim. Always.
Mm, mm. You're the person I've got to censor beat at least 6 or 7 times an
Oh,
episode.
off.
There we go. Those were the wrong uns for the championship weekend. On
I
to the
still
big
think
un.
my picks were right, and I'm living in an alternate reality.
I think we'd
I
all
agree.
prefer Punk's picks
Mm.
and Dave's.
On
Mine have been
to
terrible in the playoffs.
Sunday, the
Awful.
9th of February, 11:30 p.m. in the UK. We have the rematch of Super Bowl 57, and that is the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. So, just very quickly before we go around the table, Chiefs went 15-1. The Broncos loss doesn't count. And the Eagles
It
went
does.
14-3. Chiefs are number 1 seed, Eagles number 2 seed. Uh, they haven't faced each other in the regular season this year, so nothing to go off in that respect. What do we reckon then, boys? Who wants to go first with their pick? Actually, we should go to Finn, right? Because he got both of the championship games, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Finn's obviously the one that picks correctly.
Is
So.
And he's
this how it
sitting
works
in
now?
Knows what he's
and
talking
he's
about.
and he's sitting in a room that's currently painted Eagles green, although it's slightly
They've
Slightly,
been
against Jets'
repainted.
slightly
persuasion.
different variation. I'd go with the Jets, or maybe
Yeah.
the prime action green that Seattle wear. It's not that bright actually. I wish that'd be quite the eyesore if it was that
Or
bright.
the
Yeah,
or the 2007 Wolverhampton Wanderers away kit. One of the two.
uninhabitable.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Come on, Finn. Who are you doing?
Where do I think this game's going?
Yeah, come on.
What
Talk to me
normally
about this game.
I come into these preview pods and I have an idea as to who I'm picking for each game. Um, for this, I've tried to put as little thought into the Super Bowl, mainly because I have zero interest slash excitement this year. And so I'm just going to waffle and see where I end up, pretty much. Chiefs are the Chiefs. They know what to do when it matters. They know what system to set up. They know they're good on both sides of the ball. Defense keeps them in it a lot of the time. Mahomes is a freak of nature at points, and and pull something out the bag when you don't think he's able to. Kelsey would be involved in some way, whether that's just being a distraction for the Eagles defense or whether he's actually going to turn up as well and make big plays happen. We'll see. But Mahomes and Kelsey will definitely be involved in some way. Um, but then there's we're talking about a three-peat, which is not done. It's just it's just not done. So I think they're fighting that as well as fighting the Eagles in this game.
Hmm.
The Eagles have had a tendency to start slow across the season, and a tendency to be over reliant on Barkley, and he's not a bad player to be over reliant on. And we've said it so many times that the way you beat the Chiefs is you get up in their face and you run the ball. And if there's any side that's as good as this, it's the Eagles. And Barkley, I imagine, will have a field day. Um, so I
I'll
really
spit it
don't know.
out.
Do you want to do your pick, or do you want everyone else to chip in first, and then we'll
If
do
everyone
picks
else,
at the end?
let's go Eagles.
Oh,
I'm gonna
Okay.
go Eagles.
ooh.
All right.
I don't
Who
blame
wants
you.
to go next out of the AFC West troop?
I
I'll go.
can. Oh yeah, you go. You go.
I'll go. I'll go. It's fine.
Makes
Hmm.
change for me to come last.
For That's an image I didn't
Don't
need in my
encourage
head.
him. Don't encourage him. Come on.
Right. What is it? Some game. Oh yeah,
Mm,
Super Bowl.
mm,
Super Bowl. So for me, this will boil down to can the Eagles it's a trench game. Can the Eagles offensive line get Barkley going, or can that ridiculously good under 100 yards a game rush defense of the Chiefs stifle it and force Hurts to be lobbing it here, there, and everywhere? Uh, I don't see this be a massively high scoring game. I think the Eagles defense will pretty much keep the Chiefs in check. I think first half especially it's going to be low scoring until adjustments are made. If the Eagles aren't able to get that running game going, I think it might all grind to a bit of a halt, and it'll just be lots of, we'll take it to the 40 and punt it to you. We'll take it to the 40 and punt it to you. If the Eagles get going, and in the playoffs, they've tended to not be quite such slow starters as you were suggesting, Finn. I mean, 80 yards first play from scrimmage
mm.
in the championship game would suggest that they're being prepped to start a little quicker. I think the Eagles can control this for long periods of time. The three-peat thing, I mean, look, whether they do it or not, this is the furthest any team's ever got to doing it.
Mhm.
I think it said last time out, the 49ers and Cowboys are the two teams, and the Patriots all kind of fell at the championship game previously. So, we're in rarefied air for that to happen. Whether that puts pressure on the team to achieve it, I don't know. There will be a ridiculous media hype scrum thing about it if they do manage to do it, and we'll get all the "is this the greatest team to have ever lived" type stuff.
Mhm.
Um, but I'm fairly confident that Saquon Barkley is actually the MVP of this league, and it's not a quarterback this season. And for me, I think that Eagles defense is good enough that they're going to be able to shut down anything that the Chiefs throw at them. So, although it won't be a score to nil, I think in a low scoring Super Bowl, the Eagles will come out on top.
Wow.
There we go. Two to
There we
nothing.
have
And
it.
I bloody hope they do as well.
I think this. I agree with Punk. This is going to be a really low-scoring game. There's the possibility that both teams score fewer than Forest did at the weekend against Brighton. Thank you very much.
Oh,
Um,
I don't think it's that low scoring.
no, I
Subtle,
know. I
yeah.
just wanted to get that in there. No, I think in this game it's. I think it's a slow burner of a game. I think that the Chiefs really concentrate on stopping the run. and they'll take a man out of the back zone and really challenge Hurts to go over the top.
Hmm.
Um, and then that connection to AJ Brown is going to be key. AJ Brown could end up being the MVP of this game. If
But
the Eagles win it, though, I think Saquon's probably going to be the key. And what we might end up seeing is Saquon coming out of the backfield and getting some sort of swing yards, or end up being some kind of bubble screens, because that offensive line can get out and give him pass protection for any kind of play action. So I do think there's a possibility of the Eagles having to change up their play, but it's the Chiefs. They've been here, they've seen
what
it, they've
the
done
one
it.
thing I do have to say is that if
Mm.
I'm not as concerned if this game had been played 3 weeks ago, I'd have been a lot more concerned if the game was in Hertz's hands. Whereas after his performance in the championship game, I'm really not. He's
No, I
got
know.
his accuracy back. He's got his timing back. He looks much more comfortable again in the pocket. So I don't think if even if the Chiefs do manage to shut Barkley down and keep him under 100 yards, say, I'm not entirely convinced that that's necessarily a bad thing from the Eagles'
No,
point of view.
I agree, but AJ Brown is up against one of the better corners in the league, Trent McDuffie.
Absolutely, he is.
So that's a battle that everyone should be looking forward to seeing.
That's the thing.
Um,
You're gonna need your receivers to step up.
yeah, if I'm the offensive coordinator of the Eagles, which God willing one day I will be, I'm swapping AJ Brown from one side to the other constantly and making the Chiefs create adjustments, because we've seen the Chiefs in numerous games basically say, look, Trent McDuffie plays on one side and we're the Chiefs, we don't move our pieces to suit your receivers. So that
Hmm.
could end up being something that's significant. And they're not the only team to do that. A lot of teams do that as well. So I think if we base it on just a par line, where each team, if they play as we know they can, who's likely to win? I think the Chiefs are more likely to win. I think the Chiefs are probably going to have to underperform in order for the Eagles to get there, because I think we kind of know what we're going to get from the Chiefs. They'll be ruthlessly efficient in the third and fourth quarters. And when it comes to those key moments, I think the Chiefs have got it all. If you go back and in the championship game, go back and look at all their third downs. They had double-digit third downs, and every single one of them was a different formation set, was a different type of play. Every single one. Their playbook is the biggest, fattest, most girthiest thing we've ever seen in the NFL. It's insane how many different things they can call on, and the Eagles can't adjust to it. So as much as I feel dirty and disgusting, I'm going to pick the Chiefs, because
Whoa.
they've been there and done it and
Ooh.
seen it, and I don't want them to. I
I
want them
th
to.
No, you
I
don't
want them
want
to
them
lose
to.
48-0. I want
I'm
them to
I'm
lose
not
71
I'm
nil.
not going to jump in and say that you're wrong, but I do think the Eagles are the better balanced team going
I
into this.
don't
I think
disagree.
they've got the better defense. I agree with you that the experience is definitely with the Chiefs, and
Mm.
they have this weird way of just being able to get a third down when they need it, or Mahomes will make some ridiculous play where the refs have ignored something. But you know,
Oh dear.
I do think that the Eagles are on this defense. The only thing that worries me about this Eagles defense is you have got a lot of rookies in there. So, it is going to be how the rookies play as to
Hmm.
how this game really pans out. But I think they can do it. I think I've got every faith in this Eagles defense that they'll be able to pretty much shut down the offense for the Chiefs, and it could end up kind of like the Tampa game. Not that the score will be as big, but just that Mahomes is looking and looking and running for his life. And I think Jalen Carter and Quinion Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, I think they have got some real workload to go into this game. And if they all stay healthy throughout the game, I think they're just going to pull that offense apart. To be honest.
If I can articulate my thought in one sense based on what I've said, which I probably should have included in my summation, if this was a regular season game, I'm going for the Eagles. But because it's the Super Bowl and the mental aspect of it is a larger proportion than it would be in a regular season game, I think the Chiefs probably come out on top. That's
That's fair.
probably the
That's
most
fair.
Hmm.
succinct thing. Hey, we see it with the
Hmm.
I'd
Bills. How
agree
many
with that.
how many times do the Bills beat the Chiefs in the regular season, and then all of a sudden it goes to it goes to the postseason, and the Bills get taught every single time. So I
Yep.
think that's
Hmm.
kind of where I am. I don't want it to. I hope they get destroyed.
Yeah, you said that already.
Yeah.
Okay, my turn a little bit. So
Someone put him on mute.
when we, I was looking
Just
back
fast
at
forward about
the
2.5 minutes, you'll be fine.
Thanks for
yeah,
listening, guys.
that's very hurtful. I sat through all of your whining. So but I look back at the 57 Super Bowl quite a bit because if you look at the Philly offense, actually a lot of those pieces are exactly the same. Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert, Jordan Mailata, um, Lane Johnson. There's a couple of people on the O line that have just re-slotted in and done very well. The one big movement, obviously, was Saquon Barkley for Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders never had the juice, um, but there's still a threat there. What they've done really on defense since losing that game, a very tight game, it was a great game, is they've only got 4 starters in the game on Sunday than played the game 2 years ago. So you're looking at Jordan Davis, I think, was there as a rookie. Josh Sweat was definitely there.
Blankenship was there, I
CJ
think.
Gardner-Johnson and Darius Slay. And that's it. Oh, and Avonte Maddox, I think, is the nickel corner. But they saw what happened to them in the Super Bowl, and they went, we actually really need to focus on our defense. Their secondary was fairly gash. I mean, James Bradbury wasn't doing so well at that point. And they look at the season they've had. They've replaced Javon Hargrave with Jalen Carter. He played in the last Super Bowl. I think that the secondary is much, much better. It's going to stop anything really deep. Not that Mahomes throws an awful lot deep, but he's throwing better than he has before from beyond the line of scrimmage. But there's not going to be a deep threat. It's going to be dink and dunk. It's going to be Pacheco and Hunt and picking up first downs where they can. I agree with you. I think it's going to be a fairly low scoring first half, especially for the Chiefs. They usually warm up in the second half as they get into the business end of the game. But there's no reason why the Eagles can't win this game. Jalen Hurts played great in the last Super Bowl. You can moan about the fumble snap, which led to a touchdown, which caused a touchdown, but they still went into the half 10 points up after that instance. So that wasn't the reason that they lost the game, in my opinion. I think he played excellently. If the Eagles had won that game, he would have won the MVP. So I've got no qualms about thinking that Hurts is going to have another good game this time. And also, he's been stewing on the fact that they lost that game 2 years ago. So that all being said, you're then looking at the coaching and the matchups there, and you're looking at Kellen Moore against Steve Spagnuolo. I think that's a great matchup. Kellen Moore has been lauded for quite a while as a good defensive coordinator. Had a bit of a lull in Dallas, but he's done a great job this season against possibly the best defensive coordinator ever. I mean, Wade Phillips, you could probably put Bill Belichick in there as a coordinator as well, but he's in kind of rarefied air at this point as a defensive coordinator, in my opinion. You've got Matt Nagy against Vic Fangio. Although Nagy's not a great head coach, as he proved at the Bears, he's a pretty decent offensive coordinator. And Fangio has struggled, I think, against Andy Reid and the Chiefs. And you got Andy Reid against Nick Sirianni as the two head coaches. And we've always talked about Nick Sirianni being a bit of a hothead. And I think, as much as I think the Eagles are possibly the better team overall by a fraction, I think there's going to be instances where they might lose their cool. And I don't see the Chiefs losing their cool. So much for the reasons that Dave's picking the Chiefs, I'm picking them because I just trust them to not make the mistake that the Eagles might make at some point through the game. And that's that.
So you're picking the Chiefs?
I am picking the Chiefs. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, we all knew this. Why can't you just say I'm picking the Chiefs?
Well, I want to give you some reasons for it. And also say,
We had to go
actually,
for all the coaching.
yeah,
It's true.
and I don't mind if the Eagles win.
I don't think anyone on the planet other than Chiefs fans might.
But I don't mind if the Chiefs win then, all right? Let's put it that way around.
Well, maybe New York, Dallas, and Washington fans don't want the Eagles to win, but apart from them.
And also, it's not the first three-peat. Vince Lombardi won the first two Super Bowls, and they won the last
leather
NFC
helmets
championship,
and offensive
so.
linemen couldn't use their hands, as we've already told you, Dave.
And
it's a
look at the
completely
record
different game.
books.
It's a different game. Yeah, and there's
up.
2 in the NFL era.
Yeah.
The tiebreaker goes to
Semantics.
Hannah, who obviously has picked the Eagles. So 3-2 split. Eagles are the favourite for the game as part of the
that from Hannah
final down.
should have been what we heard from you for the Chiefs. Jim's going for the Chiefs.
I wouldn't have had my own voice, Dave. So that
No, I know.
no fun in that. No fun in that.
I don't think Jim's picked against the Chiefs in about 4 years, so
They went 15
no
and
one, no
one.
one really should be
No,
surprised.
It's because he's got money on it.
Yeah.
15-2, Jim. 15-2.
You played the ball, boys. It doesn't count, mate.
And all of those players received a wage from the Kansas City Chiefs. You'll have to excuse me if they're second line. That should be a point for us to discuss in the Super Bowl. If their starters get injured, they're screwed because we've proven their backups are toilet.
I mean, that is you are right. I mean,
Yeah.
that's one of the things that fed into my thinking of
Kenny Pickett
picking
is
the
a good backup
Eagles.
then for the Eagles.
Well, no, but I think I'd rather go Kenny Pickett than Carson Wentz.
Oh,
You know?
I wouldn't.
Yeah, I think I would.
I've seen Kenny Pickett every game.
Put it this
Funny,
way. Put it this way.
Carson
sack
Wentz with no
himself.
running game, or Kenny Pickett with Saquon Barkley stood behind him. I think
If the Chiefs lose two players out of their secondary and have to put them in with the people we played against, Jalen Hurts might be the first person to throw for a kilometer. It's going to be insane. So the only other thing we wanted to discuss, actually, is two things. First of all, the NFL is going to Australia, which I'm very excited about.
are they?
Yeah, 2026 is going to be the first time. It's looking like it's going to be Eagles versus Rams. Sorry, mainly
Ooh.
because Eagles have got Jordan Mailata.
God, that's going to
And-
give us like the 10 a.m. kickoff.
Oh, I don't know what time it's going to be.
It
And
will. It'll
do
be ridiculous
5
o'clock in the morning.
Really awkward timing.
you know what makes it even better? It's at the MCG. Oh, how good is that going to be?
Didn't he fit a stadium
90,000 rabid
football
drunk
field in there?
Australians.
Yeah. They also, I think they play AFL, whatever it's
They
called.
play
Oh,
AFL
Aussie
there
leagues,
as well.
Aussie rules.
Yeah, easily fit. I think when Tottenham went down at the end of last season to play a couple of pharmaceutical companies for 50 million quid or whatever it was, they played at the MCG. So yeah, it's a
MCG,
great stadium to do.
It's the
unreal.
Australian equivalent of Wembley, isn't it? It's the
Yeah.
premier
Huge.
stadium in Australia.
Yeah, so that's going to be not next season, coming up the one afterwards. And there's also discussions about they're potentially extending it to 18 games, which we know for sure is going to happen. The NFLPA, which is the player representation, have said that they want to discuss potentially increasing roster sizes from 53 to 63, which I
I
think
think
is
there'll be
also
two
potentially
things
fair.
that'll
That's
be
for the other
massive,
game,
won't
isn't
there,
it?
for that? It'll be roster sizes in the second bye week.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Or I don't think it'll be both of them, it'll one or the other.
No, I think it'll
18
be
games.
both.
Mm.
18 games, I think
Yeah,
it'll be both.
yeah.
I think it should be. I don't think it will, though. This is the NFL. So all
What?
they'll do is ban concussion protocols and go, right, okay, if you get injured, you just got to carry on playing. Let's move to a linebacker
Crack
or
on, boys.
something.
Come on, there's games to play.
Man up.
Walk it off.
Yeah.
So the only other thing is, so we used to do a feature where we'd actually run through our bets for the week, and as it's a Super Bowl, Punk and I thought that we'd share what we've got.
Go for it.
Wait,
So
you say what we've got. This is something that Dave asked me about 10 minutes before we started recording, so I've thrown
man.
something hastily together.
we started recording at 50:30, and I threw it to him at 14 minutes past. Just saying. So
Best type of bet though. Punk.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
So I've also copied exactly your bet and put it into a different betting site, so we'll be able to compare odds. So I've got the Chiefs to win
Mhm.
and to win with a point spread of 2.5. So basically, the Eagles get a 2.5 point head start. And the reason I've done that is because I think it's probably going to come down to a bucket kick or something like that, and they'll be level, and then there'll be a field goal at the end, which will win it.
Mhm.
Dallas Goedert and DeAndre Hopkins both to score a touchdown.
Wait, what are the odds on that? That first
Yeah.
one?
Okay. No, this is all one bet builder.
It's all one
I've
bet.
got one bet. Oh,
Yeah,
All
man.
one bet.
You got to
One
pay
huge
attention, Jim.
bet.
Don't mess about. See if
Switch
Finn
on,
knows the
please.
score.
Mm.
So yeah, Dallas Goedert and DeAndre Hopkins to both score a touchdown.
Mhm.
Isaiah Pacheco to get over 4.5 receiving yards. That's basically one pass. DeAndre Hopkins to get over 11.5 receiving yards, and
Mhm.
Saquon Barkley to get over 13.5 receiving yards. So all of that together.
Yeah.
Mm.
So what odds do you reckon we come out with on that? Bearing in mind,
60 to 1.
60, I think, Punk, you went 70, didn't you? Was it 70? I can't remember what you said now. Oh, you said 28 to 1.
I said 28, but
28.
then I thought about it, and I'm going to bump that up by about 100. So I'll go like 90 to 1.
Your maths is shocking. So you're going to bump 120 up by 100 and get to 90.
Yeah.
Give or take.
Raider maths.
Would you go Jim 63? Did you say?
60, I said.
60.
If you're sensible, you go 91.
Let's go.
Your sense where you get about
Who's it
150
with?
because it's Dave's bet.
Who's the
So
bookies?
Bet 365.
Oh,
Other bookies are available, but they give you the
other
best
betting
odds.
sites, yeah. And when the
let's
fun
go.
stops, stop.
There's always an 80 to 1
No,
lurking around.
when the fun stops, double
He's
down. Keep
built
going.
this.
Power through.
This is a custom builder, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
Just
absolutely.
I'm gonna stick it in the middle, 80.
160.
100.
Really?
Oh wow. Okay.
That's
160
nuts.
to 1. I don't mess around.
Halfway
But
there, I was.
I did like Punk's bet, so I've copied it exactly to the penny.
Right.
And I've put money on with that as well.
You put
So
money
my
on
bet,
that.
Here we
Oh,
go.
Actual
my
money.
my bet. Well, seeing as I'm the one that wins the money during the season, it's
Yeah, that's
probably
true.
sensible that
yes,
people
no,
listen to
but
me more
you
than.
tell us the ones that you win. You don't tell us the ones that you.
Oh, I don't lose
I've never.
that
The
many.
10 he loses each week.
He says
For every one I win, I've probably lost 3.
Yeah.
17.
To be fair. Right. Okay. So the bet that I put together very hastily, without even thinking about
It's a
it,
good bet, though. In fairness,
it feels all right. So it's obviously match result will be the Philadelphia Eagles. I've got AJ Brown and Kareem Hunt both to score touchdowns.
at any time.
Yeah, anytime during the game. I've got Travis Kelce under 61.5 receiving yards. So I think it'll be there more as decoy than anything else. An interesting one, I've got Isaiah Pacheco under 23.5 rushing yards. I don't think he's going to do much at all against that Eagles line. And I've got Xavier Worthy basically being most of the Chiefs' offense with over 53.5 receiving yards.
That
So
feels sensible.
odds on that,
Um,
gentle.
what website did you use? Because I've
That
re-put
was
that.
bet 365.
Okay, I've put exactly the same bet on, so I know what the odds are. So I'm going to shut up.
Cheater.
Listen to the entire audience rejoice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Finn, what do you reckon?
Are
Uh,
you padding the
I
pod?
feel 72. I don't think you're close to Dave's,
I
not by
I
any
think
stretch. It feels a lot more measured than
yeah.
Dave's.
Although
Unbelievable.
I don't think Punk
They've
would come
spent
at us with
3
less than
days
triple
thinking about
digits.
his.
I didn't. 3 minutes about doing it.
I'll say 110 to 1.
Interesting. It is, in fact, Finn, you were very, very close, 70 to 1.
Oh,
I
but
put it in.
Well done.
Oh,
I got 75.
the odds have changed.
Yeah.
The odds have
oh,
changed
The only thing
already.
that's slightly different between yours and mine was Xavier Worthy was 52, over 52, whereas yours was over 53. Other than that, it's identical, and I got better odds than you.
Well, there you go, you see.
Cash out and re-put it in. An extra
Cash
five to
out and
make
pick it
a
put
up
it in
now.
again.
difference. Yeah.
Restart. Keep going.
Look, what we want to know about is the national anthem.
What
And
about it?
well,
Oh,
I
no.
Right.
think I've got some inside knowledge here that I think it's going on the over on 120.5 seconds.
You got a sauce, have you,
Who's
John?
singing it? This is the
John
question.
Baptiste,
If
who is
it's
a
Warbler person, then they
Isn't
tend
he
to
a
go
wrestler?
over, don't they?
John
Because
Bat
they hold their notes.
John Baptiste is a pianist slash singer. He's from New Orleans, and he has said in
Jazz.
his interview that he wants it to be unforgettable as a
Oh, he's
performance.
going big then.
He's
He's
going to
going
noodle
over.
away on the piano in the middle of this thing.
He,
So
yeah, he's gonna
if you
forget
want to
he's
have a
actually doing the
little
anthem.
cheeky one now, I think he's going over 120.5
By
seconds.
definition, it's only going to be evens, though, isn't it? So you're not. All you're going to do is
I'm not saying get a lot. I'm just saying if you want to put a bet on something, then you can do that. And also look out for the dark horse that is Dallas Goddard, because not only
Yeah.
have the Chiefs got to deal with a lot of wide receivers and Saquon Barkley, but they are the worst in the league at covering tight ends. So expect Hurts to be looking for Goddard often.
And Goddard has won me a lot of money this season with sneaking in with touchdowns. So, yeah, well worth keeping an eye on him.
Yeah.
Can I ask one question at the end of it? So say if the teams that we've predicted win, so I'm not going to do both sides, just the teams that we've all predicted. If the obvious person doesn't win the MVP, who do we think is most likely? So Jim, you've gone for the Chiefs. Let's pretend
Mahomes,
it's not Mahomes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna be, but let's pretend it's not. Who do we think is the most likely? I can give you my answer first. I reckon it's Kelsey's last. He's the media's darling. Everyone loves him.
Yeah, but you'd have to pull out 2 or 3
He'd
He'd
have
have
to
to
have
pull
touchdowns.
out at least
I agree.
100 yards and 2 touchdowns.
And I agree. And
He could do that. He
the
did it
only
against the
way,
49ers. I think he scored a couple.
the only way it goes any direction other than Mahomes is if that's a specific scenario happens, in my opinion.
The only
It'd
way
have to
it
be a
doesn't-
defensive player.
for the Chiefs to
Maybe.
win and it not be Mahomes, it'll have to be Chris Jones for me.
Wasn't the last defensive player was Von Miller, wasn't it? Super Bowl 50.
Yeah. But if he has a similar type of game where it's, 2 sacks, a forced fumble,
Scoop and
5
score.
pressures, and it's a low scoring game, then, I think equally on the other side, I think Jalen Carter could do similar numbers. So, it's for me, I think if it's not the obvious quarterback thing, I think it's the defensive tackles, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Unless someone has a 3 interception game or something.
Jalen Carter could be a real joker card here. It's his first Super Bowl, so he's not played in one prior, but he's national champion in college twice. So he's been in the big games.
He does get quite emotional though. I'm worried about
so does
someone
Chris
getting
Jones.
to him.
Chris Jones is permanently crying on the side.
A different kind of emotion though. A bit kind of like fighty with the fans emotion, the whole kind of thing for Jalen Carter, rather than just
he
a
wouldn't be
tear rolling
Philadelphia
down
if
your
he wasn't.
Fans to fight with at the Super Bowl. It's all corporate.
He can find someone. I'm telling you. Okay. Well, see that's weird because it's not usually. I know you got a lot of Von Miller, but normally it's a secondary player. A cornerback that's taken a couple of interceptions, or a linebacker that's coughed up the ball a couple of times for the defense that somehow sneaks it if it's a not a particularly great game. But I can't think of outside of like Zach Bourne maybe for the
Zach
the
Bourne's a
Eagles.
shout. To be honest, he gets moved around. They tend to go flipping offense, don't they, rather than defense. But I just think if this is a low scoring game, then it's because of play from the defense. It's not because of bad play from the offenses.
Well, there's a pattern. There's a pattern that I've seen. So Malcolm Smith for the Seahawks, then it was Brady, then Von Miller. And then every year after that, it's 2 quarterbacks, non-quarterback, 2 quarterbacks, non-quarterback. And the last 2 have been 2 quarterbacks. So
it's non-quarterback.
Non-quarterback.
There you go. And
we
heard it here first.
Patterns don't lie. So yeah,
reliable source.
Don't trust that.
Who's the punt returner for the Chiefs? Who's that now? Because guarantee it's probably going to be him.
Reggio, wasn't it?
Yeah,
they did it in the championship game.
Or who's the ref? Who's the line judge? That's going to be. There's your MVP.
Oh my god!
The guys in black and white.
I don't envy them at all because no matter what happens, someone's going to find a call they don't like. But I'm just looking forward to a great
Inevitable.
game. If anything like the last time these 2 faced off in the Super Bowl, then it should be a great game.
It won't be.
Wow.
I'm not looking forward to it.
Don't try.
Not in the slightest.
We'll be
Down
back
judge
afterwards,
Max
though.
Corsi, he's the one you need to watch.
Who?
The down judge.
Max Crosby.
Corsi.
Max
Corsi.
Oh well.
Fair enough. We'll be back though straight after the Super Bowl to review it and give our opinions. Until then, of course, make sure you're signing up to patreon.com/finaldown. You can do that for free or for money if you want to help us out. Either way, we appreciate it. And of course, follow us on social media. But of course, until next week then, guys, when this is all over, I've been Jim, that's been Finn, that's been Punk Red, that's been Never Dave, and thank you very much for listening.